I loved, Karyn, that you said that Seven really informed this for you, and that you thought about Seven while making this, because Seven is really a movie that you sort of feel dirty after watching. And there are moments in this movie that are just so grimy and dirty, but like real.
My name is Jason Reitman. I'm going to be moderating tonight, and we are very lucky to have with us 4 of the filmmakers who made this film tonight. The editor of the movie, Plummy Tucker. The writers of the movie, Matt Manfredi and Phil Hay. And one of my favorite directors, we are so lucky she's here tonight, Karyn Kusama. I'm going to do I have to say this briefly because I can't help myself. Thank you for making this movie.
Oh, thank you.
It's a beautiful film. It's a scorcher of a movie, and it's the kind of movies that people aren't making. Mm-hmm. And I know how hard it is to make these kinds of movies, mm-hmm. and I'm just thrilled. I know you could all be doing any kind of movies you want, and you made this movie, and I'm really genuinely grateful for it. And I got to see it tonight for the second time, and it played even better tonight. I'd love to ask, and I'll only ask a few questions, and then I'll turn it to you guys. Why is LA such a great city for crime stories?
There are just so many criminals. But you guys start, because you were steeped in the LA.
In the mythos. I don't know, but maybe it has to do with the fact that, for me, it feels like the crime movies that I love, that are LA crime movies, or LA movies in general, are the ones that find these pockets of civilization that are everywhere in LA, that are just these very specific, that, you know, all of you guys, as Angelinos know, there's like pockets of weird, very unique kind of areas, cultures, you know, people living, languages. And so I think maybe there's something about, and also it feels like a place you could get lost. It feels like a place maybe you could get away once the bank robbery goes down, even though that's really faulty logic. You know, it feels like maybe you could disappear here.
But it's also a place where it feels like a metaphor for where we are at this very moment, which is where you can get away with crimes in broad daylight, with everybody looking at you and nobody seeming to understand what's happening.
Well, I mean, it's interesting you brought up geography. And was geography something that was on your mind as you were making the movie?
Yeah, I mean, it was important to us to be kind of accurate in terms of how the time that it takes to get from one place to the other, the geographic specificity of like stuff down by the airport. You know, yeah, it was important to us to kind of not only show parts of LA that are important to us, or that aren't often seen in movies, but also to be kind of accurate, so you're not like going in a door in Santa Monica and coming out,
right?
You know, Palm Desert.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like all of your locations were new locations for me, and I actually grew up in this city. I feel like I've seen tons of movies about Los Angeles, but that was part of the thrill of watching it, is always feeling like, oh, I actually haven't seen. I don't know where they are right now. I know from working with you that a lot of your prep work comes from art, and I'm curious, is that how you went into this movie as well, or did this? It feels like if you're making an LA crime movie, you have to be looking at other LA crime movies, or do you avoid them?
I actually avoided them for the most part, although I looked at a lot of movies. I thought about a lot of movies, and funnily enough, it wasn't like the older movies, and it wasn't even a movie that allows for being set in LA. It's actually Seven. That I just feel kind of like, is this like watershed movie for me?
Yeah.
Obviously very different movie, but obsessive and just eccentrically dark.
Yeah.
And that definitely affected me as an LA set movie. But I was thinking more about like Dog Day Afternoon and Woman Under the Influence and Taxi Driver, and, you know, those kind of movies.
Plummy, as a movie where, and it's funny because I was watching it again for the second time, and I'm blessed with a horrible memory, so I get to watch it the same way the second time. I was like, wait, What's going to happen in the end? How do you edit a movie where you know there's this mystery that kind of waits until one of the final shots of the movie when you've read the script? How do you come to the movie as an editor, trying to think about the audience's kind of ignorance of what's going to happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was really complicated. It's such an intricate script that these guys wrote, and they wrote it. I mean, we cut it as scripted with some rearranging in the beginning of the movie, but basically that wraparound ending is the beginning. I mean, Karyn, you were really pretty meticulous about that in the shooting, to say, like, okay, it has to seem like she could possibly have come from this crime scene into the office, let's say. It's just split by the title card Destroyer, which is how they wrote it. So that you had a little bit of a break from her. But it was complicated in trying to just have her seem sort of strung out enough, but not so much that you thought she was dying until the end. You know, it was mostly, I think our challenge was more about how much information to give and when to give it. You know, more that was our main challenge.
Yeah, well, particularly because the dying is also 50% metaphorical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And probably kind of, I've been skipping over like the most obvious question, but this is one of the great Nicole Kidman performances in a career that she's already had, where she's already had so many amazing performances. This is already like boom, top 3. It's incredible. From the opening shot, you feel like, oh, this is not only it's not that I've never seen her this way. I've never seen this character before, and that's kind of one of the most thrilling experiences you can have as an audience, right? Is you almost feel like anytime you see any character, you're like, oh, they're doing this version of this, or I've seen this before. And you see Nicole Kidman. I'm not sure. I'm presuming that we all have the same experience here. And you see Nicole Kidman. I've never seen this human being I'm ready to kind of follow or anywhere. How early did this come in? Is this right from the get-go? Is this later in the process? How did you find her look? How did you figure this out?
Well, I mean, I think we always knew that as a character, we should feel a sense of, like that the engine was her charisma. You know, that there was something, there should be something watchable about the character, even when you want to look away.
Right.
And so then that also led to moments of, well, so how far can we go? How hard can she look? And it was actually Nicole who really drove the look in terms of how much she wanted to distance herself from her kind of day-to-day porcelain beauty.
Did she come in with? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, just in terms of the character, I think we all set out that what we wanted to do. In a way, the purpose of the movie was to try to make this character everything, and to try to let her be everything in a movie, as opposed to the character kind of driving through a story and being the vessel for that. Though she is, that's why her relationship with her daughter was so important to us. That we needed her and wanted her to be able to explore all these parts of who she was, and for us to see. And it's interesting, a character who doesn't want to share that stuff with you, but the movie kind of insists that she does share it with you.
And how collaborative was that? I mean, was she coming to you with the photos? Was she ever making herself up? I mean, how did you figure that out?
She is so interesting. She is one of the few actors that I've worked with who, take note, Jason. She is completely. She basically is like, the director will tell me what I need to do.
That sounds nice.
No, but I mean, it's interesting. She's worked with a lot of very, some strong-willed and visionary directors, and I think she just feels like my best chance is to trust the process and trust the collaborators and recognize that I am working with a director who guides me through the process. So she was always looking for, not guidance, but looking for information, input, feedback. And so I was able to send her, crime scene photos and short stories and drone footage of wild coyotes running through the Silver Lake Reservoir, and all of that informed her performance. All of it was relevant to her.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You guys got anything? Yeah.
First off, I just wanted to say congratulations to all of you. This is a really, really special, amazing movie.
Thanks.
Thank
So
you.
great work, and I loved, Karyn, that you said that Seven really informed this for you, and that you thought about Seven while making this, because Seven is really a movie that you sort of feel dirty after watching. And there are moments in this movie that are just so grimy and dirty, but like real. And I just wanted to hear, I guess, your process of making that, and if you ever felt you were going too far, you wanted to push it more, and just really making a film that's dirty in ways, and is what makes it so compelling.
I mean, it was always in the script. These guys are the dirtbags. I mean, you guys really went there on the page, I would say.
There were some times that we were like, I think that's too far. And we pulled back because she takes so much abuse, and I think so much of what makes her compelling, even though she isn't always likable, is that she just keeps moving forward. She's so determined and so ultimately protective of this one thing that she's just going to keep going no matter what. And so there's a lot of abuse thrown at her by herself and by others, and there were times where we're like, that's a little too much.
I think that we definitely looked at it as, in the same way that we collectively talked a lot about, violence on screen and how you do it and what it's for and what's an okay way to use it and what isn't, with her character as well, that like, if it had, we knew it had to be really unflinching, and it had to be very aggressive actually, and kind of confrontational, and knowing that would be a line we'd all have to walk in the edit room and on the set, in the script, of figuring out how to, because ultimately I think we all believe that it's a movie, and so you can go there, like it's a film, and we had to challenge ourselves to say, like, if it made sense for the character, then it made sense for the story.
Do you guys remember what the kernel of the idea was? Like, what was the first idea that popped in your head that kind of was the seed that led to this film?
Yeah, it was two things. Well, the first thing was this idea of a character ultimately investigating herself.
Right.
And ultimately chasing
a
herself.
private detective investigating herself.
Yeah,
that's
and
fantastic.
so it lent itself to this kind of dual structure, and we had that for a long time. At least we knew where we wanted to go, and we had scenes that supported that. But then it was just the hitting on the character of Aaron Bell. Like that was the kernel after that made all the rest of it kind of make sense to us. The why of it.
Yeah, we had a feeling of the vibe or the tone and the kind of like grimy 70s kind of cop movie, but then it was when we started really getting deep into who she was and why she was and what her relationship with her daughter was and what the point of this whole thing could be, then that's what kind of really lit it up for us.
Yeah.
Hi. So I noticed that there are a few shots of teenagers skateboarding under the bridge. Like they appear to be some kind of significance or deeper meaning in those shots. Because like the first time we see the title of the movie was after one of those shots, and the movie ends with one of those shots too. So I'm just wondering. I had a few guesses, but I'm just not sure any of them are accurate. So I'm just
I mean, it was in the script that there was going to be some kids, playing just skateboarding in the background and kind of trying tricks and wiping out, and that was actually always there.
Yeah, it seemed. I think it was your idea.
And then there was a
actually.
point where I was like, well, so at the end he's just got to land the trick, and
Yeah, and I think that it's funny. Maybe it's like as a writer, sometimes you do something to serve one purpose, and then all of a sudden it dawns on you that it could serve another. Like I think when we first talked about it, we said we need something to attach to that's unique, that
And
you'd would make a sonic thing, or that would make you realize she was back exactly where we were in the beginning. so that you knew without a doubt, oh, I get it. We've gone, and then we started realizing that it had a metaphorical possibility as well.
Right.
And then we're like, oh, that's, you know, he could finally make it, and that could be the end of the movie. Yeah.
How early does this? I mean, you've made so many movies now together, and I'm presuming most of you have seen The Invitation, their last film. If you have not, you absolutely need to. These days are so cheerful anyway. You need to watch a horrifying film like The Invitation. Life's too easy going as is. How? Is there kind of separation of church and state? I mean, do you give them a chance to write? Are you involved as a third writer, you know, from the beginning? And how does that work?
I'm never involved as a third writer, but I would say with The Invitation, it's like they wrote the script and then I read it. Whereas this time, I think that went well enough that we felt trusting to try something a little earlier, which is that they brought me into the outline phase. And they just showed me, they literally walked me through the index cards of the movie and sort of talked me through the sequences. And so I could really feel the shape of it and understand that like Odyssey shape, which was important, you know, understand that it was this like saga of traveling across LA. And then I maybe offered a few thoughts, but then you went off and wrote.
But then at the same time, you were off doing a lookbook.
Yeah.
You know, and like the whole process of making the movie kind of started while we were writing it in some ways.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, I feel like my mic is a lot louder. Just a low hard. Sorry.
Something to bring up with your therapist.
Yeah. Well, like Matt was saying, sort of like we've realized now that we can do things in a much more simultaneous manner because of how well we know each other, and that also extends to Plummy and to Teddy, the composer. So like.
The music is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
It feels like one continuous piece of music that crescendos like exactly at the right time.
And if anyone of you are
with no help from editing, I'm sure it's all and it just landed.
That will be on a Mondo LP in like a month.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, it's gonna be really great. So, so we all can kind of start working like Teddy and Plummy are like the fourth and fifth people that ever read the scripts, you know. So it's like once, you know, so it all starts to happen. Like Plummy can get it in her head and start just visualizing, and Teddy can actually start writing music, which then Karyn's playing for Nicole in the makeup trailer to kind of set the tone.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
like
no
really,
kidding.
Yeah, 'cause
She was already hearing the music.
Oh yeah, most of the music was written or like
5 or 6 pieces, and then
like half the score was written before we started shooting.
No
Teddy
kidding.
sends them to me, and then
How much do you prefer knowing exactly what Karyn had in mind as the footage comes in, or is there like a thrill to being like, I don't know what she was thinking? Like, what is actually a better way, and what do you think fuels you as an editor?
I mean, we've done 5 films together, we've had like an evolution of the way it works. I mean, I think on this one somehow finally, I think because of just our lives are busy and everything's, you know, we didn't have as much conversation beforehand as say we did on the last couple before that. And so it's interesting. I try not to bother directors because their minds are full, you know. But
we're dangerous.
And you're so dangerous. Yeah. But you know, leading up to the shoot, there's so much to do, and then during the shoot, you're, you know, so busy. So, but Karyn we always talk about like if there's anything that's influencing what she's thinking about, you know, stylistically, in visually or music-wise, or you know, films, things like that.
Or if there's like a organizing shot. You know,
Yes.
sometimes our shooting plan had to change, and so it would be like, okay, what I thought would be a more conventional master is now a moving close-up that will be the organizing principle.
Can you think of, I don't mean to put you on a spot, but can you think of a shot in the movie that was an organizing shot that, I'm sure there's just there's probably young filmmakers in the audience who probably, and I'd like to learn as well. If there was like a shot where you're like, okay, this was the organizing shot, and we kind of structured around that?
Well, the thing I'm thinking of is the DeFranco scene when she goes to see him at his house in Palos Verdes, the dirty lawyer.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to shoot that outside, but it was the one day in Los Angeles in like 5 years where there was like torrential rain. And so we had to be indoors. And so my plan of a kind of wandering through, you know, this outdoor area with all these beautiful vistas and seeing them small in the frame just went out the window. And so when we blocked the scene inside, what I felt was that you needed to be anchored to her paranoia, her mistrust, her sense of knowing more, but kind of our growing understanding that she doesn't quite know what's going on. And so I just made it really small and said, okay, this is just going to be a close-up that we move with the whole time,
Right.
so that it kind of feels like we're always with her on a wide lens. So it's not comfortable for her as an actor, but it makes us as the audience feel anchored to her, even though we can be seeing DeFranco moving to and fro. We're always coming back to her.
That's why. When did you go back to shoot the exterior shot then?
Well, then the next day it cleared up so that we could do all of our exterior work.
I would have never known for a second that it's so seamless.
Oh, that's good. It wasn't while we were shooting. I was just like, oh my
wow,
God.
it's such a great sequence, and it's like it's one of the great Bradley Whitford performances.
Yeah,
even
right
now.
on,
It's
cool,
it's
yeah.
such a good sequence. I would have never guessed that for a second. You guys got anything? I could keep going. I just don't. Yeah.
I have a question for the writers. How long did it take you from inception to the final script, and how many rewrites have you had to throw some of the baby out of the bathwater, as they say?
I think, well, we had the idea, the basic ideas and the basic start of it like 10 years ago. So it really was marinating for a long time. I mean, that tends to be the way with us, and I think I know a lot of writers who are like this, that something's happening and we kind of know it could be a movie, but it takes a long time to really marinate. And then it just was sitting there as we were doing other things and making other movies, and then we were making the invitation, and then it really started to kind of click when the three of us started talking about what we want to do next. And so the period of actually writing was actually pretty compact for us. I think it was maybe like it took us, like, I want to say it took us 4 or 5 months to kind of get it to the point where we felt that we could show it to Karyn in terms of writing the actual script, maybe. But that included like 3 or 4 of our own drafts, kind of. And then
The stuff that went out was actually during production. There were some scenes that just based on the way things were moving and the need for kind of drive, that we realized there were certain character things that we love and
It
little.
was all the stuff I asked for. To be honest, I asked for a lot of stuff, not a lot, but I asked for character stuff that was very simple and elemental, like just watching her eat late at night.
Yeah,
And it
which
was
is
cool,
one of my
it was
favorite
an
shots
amazing
in the whole
scene, and we
movie.
had to get rid of it,
There
because
was
it didn't give us enough.
And you kind of learn, like, for example, we had a much more of a subplot. And you write the script and you think you have made it as absolutely lean as it possibly can be, and then you discover that the movie starts telling you where it wants to go. And it wasn't much more. There was one more scene with the character Gil Lawson, who's played by Toby Huss, the FBI agent, who's kind of her supervisor and mentor. There was a scene between the two of them, and it was a scene that we always loved, and the two of them played it so beautifully. But it kind of pointed toward a paranoia. It pointed toward a kind of a red herring that we were making you think that the higher ups did not want her chasing down this thing, when in fact she was just being paranoid because she's paranoid. And we kind of discovered, you guys discovered in the cutting, that the movie couldn't support that. We liked that idea, but it couldn't hold it together, so it had to go.
There was a scene in a bar where she tried to make a connection with somebody kind of randomly, and it was a character moment that, like, I think we really loved, and it just didn't, after a while it didn't fit, and a lot of it was like, had to do with like her performance, and I think there was so much going on with her that like you knew her better than we thought you were going to at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
She gave you more than I mean, I felt we got to know her faster than we ever could have from just predicting from the script.
Isn't that fascinating thing with performance? performance
Yeah.
when you have the right actor. When all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, we know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We get it. We
Yeah.
don't have to.
Yeah.
We don't need that extra
Exactly.
information. How are we doing here? Yeah.
That's kind of a follow-up to what you just started talking about. When did Nicole Kidman become involved with the project? Was she always on your mind? I mean, because you mentioned earlier, it's not a way that we've seen her really before.
Yeah.
I don't really think of Nicole Kidman in that part, but she plays it so beautifully. So was she always on your mind, or?
No, actually, she approached us. She is a very unusual movie star in that she reads a lot of scripts without, any initial attachment to them, and is open to that fact, and it doesn't scare her from reading a lot of
It's
what's
just,
out
as
there.
we all, many of us here know, that never happens.
Yeah, so it's pretty
She's
incredible.
So
so
think about her address tonight, right?
Yeah.
Or-
No, but I mean, it was pretty amazing that she basically read the script and she said, I love this and I need to talk with the director and, meet with the writers. And so, I would say I had already met with her on a couple of other things, and she has reached out to me just as an actor interested in me, which is also very rare. And so she just spoke about the role in such an open, curious way, that I just felt like we were gonna have a really good partnership. And so it didn't take much more than one conversation for her to come on board, and then we sort of scaled the character up by eight or 9 years and made some changes, but it wasn't a big rearrange for her.
Has she seen the film, and how does she feel about the performance?
Nicole?
Nicole, yeah.
Oh, I think she's really proud of it. I mean, I think, it's so different than her. And so she had always made this joke to me. Well, it wasn't a joke now that I think about it. She would say on set, you'll get to know me when we're done. And I didn't.
What an interesting thing to
I
say.
didn't quite understand it because I would attempt to have just a conversation sort of person to person with her, and I realized she wasn't really open to that on set. And it was because she was Erin. She really didn't leave that space. And now when I see her, I'm like, oh my God, you're just so much like lighter and more hopeful and more. It's just weird though, because it's like, Plummy and I were spending day in and day out with Erin Bell. And so
Right.
it was kind of interesting to realize only later that Nicole's approach to the role was truly, in this case, pretty much method.
Right.
And so, I think she looks at this character like, a really interesting, messed up person that she's interested by, but I don't even know I don't know how much she connects herself to that character. It's pretty interesting.
I think she's told us, and she said, I think in press too, that she, that she really was the character put her in a really heavy, dark place, and she's a very serious person and a very, just alive person, and she's not this brooding, heavy person, but she was kind of forced into that
Yeah.
space, and I should say to Karyn that it's less that she had an intellectual idea of being a method actor, it's more that given how little time we had, that she couldn't expend the energy to kind of flip that switch on and off
Yeah.
and be personable, funny, sometimes silly Nicole, who's like a very alive, amazing person to hang out with, and also play this character.
Yeah.
So she had to be very inside and very quiet and very you feel the power kind of emanating off of her, but we realized sort of as a team that our job was to kind of create space around her so that she could just stay there and not have to be,
A people pleaser.
constantly there. Yeah.
Do you feel like you have to do that as a certain extent as a director?
Protect that space.
Live in that world. You're in this movie
Oh.
for 2 years,
Yeah.
and you're not playing a character, but you're living in the tone of this world. Do
Yeah.
you feel to a certain extent that there's character directing where you're kind of putting yourself
Yeah,
in a
I
place?
mean, I'm still there. I had hoped that this movie would be some kind of exorcism of something for me, and that the world's landscape would be different, you know, once I finished this movie. And it's like, oh, you wake up, you're like, oh, it's not actually much different, it's just worse. And so, that's kind of
Merry Christmas!
yeah. Well, but I mean, I'm just trying to, like, Aaron is the frequency I go to when I'm dealing with despair.
Right.
And so, just the timing of it worked out that I could go there quickly with her. And, you know, now the challenge is to just, you know, sort of move on from this movie and move on from her, because she, you know, that's not a sustainable way to live. Her worldview.
I just love that line. I just want to tell people that you'll get to know me when we're done.
It's true.
Yeah, in the back.
Question about two scenes, and I guess it goes to everyone, directing the writers as well. So, when they're robbing the bank, the one by LAX, in the very last moment I had a feeling that she might be dreaming it rather than that actually happening. Now, one of the last scenes where the dog stares at her, it's almost like Chris's spirit visits her, and okay, there's some sort of reconciliation, some sort of closure. Question: is it something that the movie dictates, or is it something intentional?
I think that's really interesting. I think that for us, I think I definitely can see the thing about the dog. I've thought about that, and I think that connects with me.
Plus, sorry for interrupting. Coach Reed's blue healer, someone who heals.
Oh
Huh.
yeah.
So yeah, and I'm glad that, and I think the point of that bit, I mean, was also to create that, hopefully, a kind of a spiritual moment that you could kind of connect in different ways. And I think with regards to the bank, I think what we
That's
think.
really happening.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I think, but I think what's interesting is I've heard a couple people say in some ways that the movie is dreamlike in some ways, and I think, or almost like she's in a myth, like she's like Sisyphus or something. And I think that maybe it's because I think Karyn's created such an intimacy with this character that it's almost like she could have produced this whole experience in her. She kind of does make this whole world in a literal sense from what her actions are. So I don't know. I think that's how I would connect.
Yeah.
This movie struck me a little bit how I felt when I saw The Pawnbroker many years ago.
Oh, uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
You know, Ross Steiger
Yep.
and sort of the whole despair.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's really got a lot of power like that. But I did have a curiosity about the relationship when she wanted to have the boyfriend that her daughter take off. So she gave him money. And I thought she was going to give money to the girl's father as well. And I was confused about that. And then I thought to myself, that guy wasn't as bad as so many other people in the movie, the boyfriend. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny, that character, Jay, elicits really different reactions from people. I mean, there are some people who are like, I totally get it. I would do anything to protect my daughter from that guy. And then there are people who are like, I don't know, he seemed like my second boyfriend who wasn't so bad. Like, it's kind of funny. There's very different, he's sort of a lot of the characters are kind of a litmus test for sort of what our tolerance for unsavoriness is, I would say. And so I think the way she saw it was just that she needed, that she saw her daughter like sort of approaching the edge of a cliff, and having a boyfriend who's 8 or 9 or 10 years older when she's 16 is the beginning of falling off that cliff, and she will do anything to get rid of one of those steps. And so
I think in terms of your first question, that was Plan B, paying him off. She wanted to give the whole amount that she thought she had in that storage locker to scoop Ethan and let him get away with Shelby, but the money was, she didn't realize that the dye pack had gone off and ruined all of it, but the amount that she then pays Jay.
Yeah. Thanks. Say again?
How long was principal photography?
Principal and secondary was 33 days.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, it was a really challenging shoot. It was really, it was really hard.
I see we have film professionals. in this room.
Was there a scene, Plummy, that was there a scene that either was tough to the last day that that you kind of had to find, or was there a scene that like the first time you put it up it was just like magic?
Well, let's see. There were the scene where she after she crashes the van.
Mm-hmm.
Her performance. I mean, that was it kind of came together, and in one of my first passes, and it was all handheld and different and mismatched and whatever, but there was such a visceral reaction that she had in one of the takes,
Right.
that it was sort of like building into that, and that we tried a couple different things, but that remained kind of.
There's that
the way-
scream when she's on her knees, that
Yeah.
guttural scream.
Yeah.
And it's just it
Yeah.
just hits you in the ribs.
Yeah, and then we had the scene that, I mean, I think we spent a lot of time on the scene with Tatiana Maslany, with her and Petra, she and Petra in the room
Right.
together when she's, taking her back there. And so that was a scene that could have gone different directions. We had a variety of performance
Right.
in that. And so it was kind of trying to figure out how long that scene could be, what information we really needed in it to, to keep us involved with them.
Was there a scene the first time you saw it, you went, that's the movie?
Plummy's iteration of Russian roulette was pretty much like a jaw dropper from the beginning. And it was like, okay, like we made a couple of tweaks that intensified maybe the sense of relationship between Chris and Belle. But the sense of like, just the sense of horribleness was palpable from the start.
Isn't it a thrill when you, as a director, feel like you're watching your movie as an audience?
Yeah, that's what I felt. I felt like I read the script, I directed the scene, I directed multiple, takes of multiple setups of the scene, and I still was like, what's gonna happen? So that was really fun.
And it was interesting too, because that was the scene probably that was most covered in a way, like
In a conventional
there
way.
was, because we so often had to work so fast that Karyn had to make these very definitive choices on the day of exactly what was going to happen. And so it's kind of interesting that in a way there was the most possible choices in that scene, and that Plummy just kind of found it out of all of that right away.
Yeah, in the way back.
Okay, so I was really surprised by the scene where Arturo and where there's he escapes through the back door.
Yep.
Was that something that Arturo the character would have planned, or was that part of the Vandel's escape in Los Angeles? I was just really surprised that he escaped. That I didn't realize he was an exit or a plan.
Yeah, I think I don't think he did have a plan. I think he just like kind of a lot of things that the characters do in this movie, that they're messy and they're desperate, and so he sees her and he's so terrified by this figure that he just has to get out as fast as he possibly can.
But
So-
that's like the location. It was like you walked through the church and there was this like back entrance.
Yeah, and it was true.
all very
Yeah,
true
that
to the
office
geography
was
of
right there. I
this.
mean, that location really was played just kind of as it was.
Guys, thank you for making a beautiful Los Angeles movie. Thank you for making one of my favorite movies of the year. And I think I speak for everyone to say, please keep making movies together. Thank you.